This is the Polo Grounds, New York City. Down those steps have come some of the greatest champions in the history of sport. Christy Matheson, Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, Red Grange, the Four Horsemen of Notre Dame, Jack Dempsey, Louis Firpo, Gene Tunney. Down these same steps tomorrow night will come another champion and his challenger. They will cross this ancient ground and 416 feet beyond enter the ring to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. Biography of the Fight, a Patterson Johansson fight special, starring James Cagney, with special guests Ingemar Johansson, Floyd Patterson, Jack Dempsey, Gene Tunney, and for the first time on television, the 1959 Patterson-Johansson fight. June 26, 1959, Floyd Patterson. June 26, 1959, Ingemar Johansson. Ladies and gentlemen, your host for this evening, the star of the new motion picture, The Gallant Hours, Mr. James Cagney.
Good evening. Tomorrow night, two men square off against each other for the heavyweight championship of the world. In the darkness around them, thousands watching every move. Through their radios, millions more on every continent listening to every sound. And in locations all over the country, more millions watching, as people have watched for centuries, the gladiator in combat. After a year of waiting, a moment of history. A lot goes into the ring with these two men tomorrow night. A lot of their past, a lot of their present, and their whole future dependent on every punch. Tonight, you're going to see some of that past, and you'll see some of the present, as they are in their training camps. As for the future, two of the greatest champions boxing has ever known will take apart the styles of both men and the chances of each. Jack Dempsey and Gene Tunney, immortal champions. Now, in just a few moments, Floyd Patterson and Ingemar Johansson, as they fought 1 year ago, and as they may fight tomorrow night. This is the way it began. 1 year ago, first round, Floyd Patterson, Ingemar Johansson. 2 rounds later, the lives of both men were suddenly changed. It is a night that Floyd Patterson has relived every single day here in Newtown, Connecticut, as he worked and thought and waited for the man who was the youngest heavyweight champion of all, who lost his title at the age of 24. This has been his year. For the man at 26, who won the most valuable of all titles in sport, the year of a new champion, 1 year of glory. One common purpose brings these two men together, but there is even more that separates them. The Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn, the playground for the childhood of Floyd Patterson. Gothenburg, a city of 350,000 people on the west coast of Sweden. These are the streets where Ingemar Johansson walked. This was Ingemar Johansson's playground. For a champion, the promises of his youth have been fulfilled. For the challenger, the image is blurred and broken. 1 year has been set aside for its repair. But one fact is not to be argued. What this man has won, he will not give up easily. He is champion, and he means to stay champion. It is here that Ingemar Johansson has come to plan his defense. A cottage in the Catskill Mountains of New York State. For 6 weeks, he has worked every single day. His timing has grown sharper, his reflexes quicker. Little time has been wasted. But a fighter is more than his skills, more than his training. Why he fights is the most telling question of all. After 1 minute with Philco, we will get the answer. The beginning for Ingemar Johansson and Floyd Patterson was in their early childhood. It was then that each discovered what he could do with his fists.
The guy I fought was living the house beside that house I lived in. But the school was about 1,000 meters from there. And he was 1 year older than me, but I think we were in the same size. And I don't know what the trouble was, but we put up a good fight, and I cut his lips, so it starts bleeding. And he started crying and ran up to his school class. And long time after that, I was afraid for his teacher.
Well, most of the boys, younger boys, would look up to this boy, and I imagine they admired him because, well, he had the upper hand over everyone, practically everyone in the school. But one afternoon something happened, and I got into a fight with him, and I had a certain amount of fear of this boy myself. But I fought the boy, and I knocked him down, and I didn't hurt him, but I did knock him down, and he stayed down. He didn't get back up for a while. And finally, when he did get back up, he didn't want to fight anymore. And from that day on, all the younger boys began to look up to me.
Recognition as children. But as they grew older, why did they fight?
I started boxing because I like it.
Well, it was something that I was good at. I liked it.
The angry emotions of their childhood. Are they part of the equipment of a professional fighting man?
No, I'm never angry. And I'm very glad for that, because if you get angry in the ring, I think that's the worst you can be.
No, not really. For instance, Jimmy Slade and Hurricane Jackson. We were very close friends up until we fought. And Jimmy Slade and I trained in the same camp to fight each other, and we didn't know that we were going to fight each other until about 2 weeks before the fight. And we were very close. But the night of the fight, when I climbed up into the ring, why, Jimmy Slade was just another body.
In the absence of anger, do they know any other emotion? With English heavyweight Joe Erskine, helpless before him, did Johansson feel any pity?
Say that the English newspaperman said that it will be an easy thing for Joe Erskine, and he was just going to Sweden and pick up the championship. And certainly I was a little bit mad about that, but I will not say I was mad against him. He was terrible looking after the fight. I gave him a hard beating up. I shouldn't like to look like that after the fight. But I didn't feel sorry for him.
I think every fighter has pity for another fighter, because every fighter knows how hard it is for another fighter to become a fighter and what he has to go through in order to get to the top or even make some money, get to the point where he can make some money. So I'm quite sure that I'm not only speaking for myself, but mostly, at least 90% of the fighters feel the same way as I do.
The quality of mercy. In the final moments a year ago, did he have any for Floyd Patterson?
No. I did not, because he should gladly like to have me in the same situation.
Mm-hmm. Such was his feeling in the ring. After his great victory, did those feelings change?
I don't think so, I did. I can't remember me, but I know my sister, she walked over. When Patterson went from the ring, my sister walked to him and raised his hand and did like this on his shin. She feels sorry for him, but not me.
When almost 4 years ago, Patterson knocked out Archie Moore to win that same heavyweight championship, how did he feel?
Well, after the fight, of course, I was pretty happy the night of the fight. It was a real big thing. But waking up the next morning, I kind of felt a bit sorry for Archie Moore because I know he's pretty old, and this, I think, was his second shot for the heavyweight championship. And I don't know, I just kind of felt bad for him because I know he really wanted to win it, probably just as bad as I did.
Mm-hmm. Compassion for the other man. Does it kill the killer instinct?
I feel as long as I've got a man well beaten, I'm ahead on points. If I get a chance to knock him out, I will knock him out. But if there's a serious cut of some kind in his face, well, there's no need hitting him on the cut if I can avoid it, and I'm ahead on points. So if that's the killer instinct, well, then I don't have it.
Mm. For the champion, the killer instinct is a reality. He wants to defeat his opponent completely.
Yeah, I like to... Well, I like to win the fight over everything, certainly. I think everybody likes that. But not everybody is able to do it.
1 year of waiting. Memories, ideas, plans, thoughts, they have filled every minute.
Well, after the last fight, I know there was a lot of people that expected me to win and that were in my corner. And got an awful lot of visitors up in camp expecting me to win. And it seemed like I had not only let myself and my family down, but I had let all of these people down. And even the United States, as far as that's concerned. So when I went home, I spent, for the next 3 or 4 weeks, I guess you'd say in seclusion. I didn't want to see anybody or speak with anybody because I felt kind of bad about it. And
well, I can tell you, the first week I was down in Florida with a friend, Gustav van Ries, and I had a wonderful time. Then I went back to Sweden and did 3 weeks, or nearly 4 weeks exhibition too.
I was just sitting there thinking for a while, you know, when your mind just wanders into space. I was thinking about something that had happened in Atlantic City, some of the places that I had been to, and I thought about being in Atlantic City one time and going through a hospital for leukemia and blood diseases and things like that, cancer. And I specifically remember a little girl in the hospital. She had leukemia, and the doctor was showing me through the wards, and he brought me into this little girl's room, and she had the tubes running through her arms, being fed and whatnot. And she was, he said she was about 4, and she was extremely small. I mean, for a 4-year-old girl, you'd think she was just born, just nothing but bones. And as I walked out of the room after seeing her, viewing this, I remember the doctor saying to me, it would be a miracle if she should live past tonight, till tomorrow. So after thinking about this, I said to myself, who am I to feel sorry for myself? I should get down on my knees and thank God that I have all the things that I do have. And all I did was to lose a fight. And I got paid for the fight. I looked around me. I have a beautiful home. I have all the things I think that the average man would want, and even more. So why should I feel sorry for myself? And then I came right out of it. I started going out the very next day. And by the way, that night was the first night that I think I got a good night's sleep.
The most coveted prize in sports, the heavyweight championship. What does it really mean?
Well, what it means to me is certainly a lot of things. It's what I have trying to be for many years, and there's never been a champion in Scandinavian before. It's a big thing for me, and it has changed my life, certainly.
Well, right after I won the heavyweight championship, the mayor up there was Vaccarelli then. He gave me a parade. And I appeared up there, and I rode in a convertible up and down the street, and the people were applauding and yelling. Now, this didn't seem right to me. I didn't feel right, because it seemed that these are things for presidents and kings. And somehow I just didn't feel that it was for me.
On that last fight, was Patterson prepared for Johansson's right hand?
See, now, I'm not looking for an excuse, but for some reason or another, Ingo didn't show anything in training, or he didn't display anything that impressed the reporters, and they wrote like it, so naturally in reading it, I accepted it, and I was under the impression he had absolutely nothing, and I began to even get bored after the first and second round.
Sports writers have written of that now famous right hand. Was it a lucky punch?
Oh, well, I'm lucky to have that punch. And I will just say that it's funny that I should go around and knock out fellows with lucky punch every time. I mean, he's not the first guy I have knocked out with that punch.
Is Patterson taking all this into account?
Yes, I see myself taking advantage of every opportunity this time. That's something I didn't do the last time.
Well, I have knocked them out when it has landed on the wrong spot. So when they land on the right spot, it will be pretty tough to stay up.
Well, Ingemar might appear before me almost any time of the day. I have seen him, well, I mean, in my mind, that is. I have seen him mainly at night, when just before going to bed, when I'm in the bed, just before going to sleep.
Oh, yes. I have knocked out Patterson many times already.
In just 1 minute, we'll see that big third round of the last fight. All right, let's roll it. Round 3, Patterson-Johansson. Here it is, that famous third round. Here's that knockdown in slow motion, Jack. The end for Floyd Patterson. The beginning for Ingemar Johansson. All right, gentlemen. We've seen the fighters, we've listened to them, and we've seen what happened last time. What's going to happen this time?
Well, Jim, if you give me a chance to demonstrate, I will, but I need Jack's assistance.
Well, I'd be very happy to be up here, but I want you to take it easy with me.
I can't do otherwise. I can't do otherwise. You'll see how he was leading that straight left, keeping at bay with that straight left to get the right hand in.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen the same way, I think. I'm not sure.
Well, now, wait just a minute, Gene. What if this man gets under Patterson or Johansson's left hand and gives him a left hook, something like this? Oh, what's going to happen then?
Anything can happen.
Do-si-do you gave Toledo. Gave at Toledo, rather.
That's the old Toledo step.
All right. Now, tell me, do you think that Patterson is going to be the first heavyweight champion to regain his title?
Well, I don't know, but I don't think so. I think you've got a line in the Admiral Halsey's story which about describes his chances.
You mean the line that says, there are no great men, there are just great challenges that ordinary men are forced by circumstances to face.
Yeah, right. That's the one. And I think Johansson is going to be the ordinary man who's going to win.
Jack?
Well, Jimmy, you always have a chance to fight. And I think the only chance Patterson has is to get on top of this fella and stay in there and swap punch with him. If he'll do that, he's got a chance to win. Otherwise, he gets knocked out.
Well, thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Jimmy.
And thank you.
This is the Polo Grounds, New York City. Down those steps have come some of the greatest champions in the history of sport. Christy Matheson, Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, Red Grange, the Four Horsemen of Notre Dame, Jack Dempsey, Louis Firpo, Gene Tunney. Down these same steps tomorrow night will come another champion and his challenger. They will cross this ancient ground and 416 feet beyond enter the ring to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. Biography of the Fight, a Patterson-Johansson fight special, starring James Cagney, with special guests Ingemar Johansson, Floyd Patterson, Jack Dempsey, Gene Tunney, and for the first time on television, the 1959 Patterson-Johansson fight. June 26, 1959, Floyd Patterson. June 26, 1959, Ingemar Johansson. Ladies and gentlemen, your host for this evening, the star of the new motion picture, The Gallant Hours, Mr. James Cagney.
Good evening. Tomorrow night, two men square off against each other for the heavyweight championship of the world. In the darkness around them, thousands watching every move. Through their radios, millions more on every continent listening to every sound. And in locations all over the country, more millions watching, as people have watched for centuries, the gladiator in combat. After a year of waiting, a moment of history. A lot goes into the ring with these two men tomorrow night. A lot of their past, a lot of their present, and their whole future dependent on every punch. Tonight, you're going to see some of that past, and you'll see some of the present, as they are in their training camps. As for the future, two of the greatest champions boxing has ever known will take apart the styles of both men and the chances of each. Jack Dempsey and Gene Tunney, immortal champions. Now, in just a few moments, Floyd Patterson and Ingemar Johansson, as they fought 1 year ago and as they may fight tomorrow night. This is the way it began.